Okay, cameras on.
I sent him drafts of what I needed, and Ashley wrote back, she's like, we write our own letters, I'm like, even better.
So her place has the gray one, it's the one right next to it, and then it's the dog. Cause I had to look it up. Yeah.
Are you Loretta? Nice to meet you face to face, Kelsey. You can have a seat. There's not much here to do, unless I have some questions about what they're planning on doing with the space. This is the agenda, so first up and then.
All right, well, no time like the present, right? Okay,
Just like.
planning commission, come to order. So, roll. Do we have a board here? You good?
Yes.
Did you take a look?
Ron Stanko,
I think I'm here.
Michael Hart will be absent, Eric Osterschef will be absent, Rick Weinhopper,
Here.
Janet Barnett, Scott Miller.
Here.
All right, so I guess it's your time to wait.
That's new.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment. Public comment? Hearing none? No public comment. All right, so first item on the agenda,
Do you want to take this one?
1209, 1211 Penn Avenue waiver request from land development requirements. So, review and discuss waiver request.
You got it? Didn't know if you needed to hear from me. Up, down, up, down.
Everybody gets.
Okay, so you can be the,
The MC should be the MC. Kelsey, Frankowski, would you like to address the planning commission?
I was gonna say, I think Jim and I can give the Cliff Notes version of this.
Unless Kelsey wants to add
That's fine with me,
something.
I don't need my day in the spotlight, I think you guys can handle it.
So essentially, they're looking to convert the 1209, 1211 Penn Avenue are two adjacent units. Showing the D plotting there. Michelle did the zoning review. They have adequate parking on the property across the alley that they own. There's no exterior improvements. They're just doing interior renovation. So from our standpoint, there's nothing for the borough engineer to review because there's nothing changing outside the building. So from our office's standpoint, we would just recommend, it's kind of, I think we kind of push it through, whether it doesn't meet the requirements of land development, but to be on the side of caution to get a waiver of land development officially on the record, and then just condition that upon them getting the sewage planning for the additional flows, which they've already submitted the planning module exemption, our office has that, and get the necessary building permits from craft codes prior to construction.
My opinion is that under the MPC, the creation of the different units within the existing structures would require land development. But I would concur with the recommendation of waiver because there's no physical improvements that are required. I think building permits see the changes that are proposed for this project.
So we have a waiver request, but we also have, subject to review and approval of DEP planning model. So is that what we're doing, waiving it in lieu of, or in anticipation of?
Waiving conditioned upon the approval of the planning module exemption.
Do we know specifically when it's gonna go in?
I mean, the plan is ASAP, I guess as soon as we get the exemption and, the building permits.
Especially what uses.
The uses, I'm sorry.
Oh, what uses?
Yes.
So the ground floor, the ground level is gonna be converted into commercial office space. And then the first, second, and third floors are gonna be residential dwelling units. There's gonna be 2 dwelling units per building.
Okay, and the parking is across the alley?
There's some parking directly behind the building, and then they also have a parking lease agreement with Bell Tower and, the medical office buildings, sort of right next to Bell Tower or behind it.
Okay, that was gonna go next.
And those leases are executed, we sent them to Michelle for review.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
And that's handled through the zoning permit process.
Okay, so we're attempting to approve a waiver request subject to the review and approval of DEP planning module. Correct? Would somebody like to make a motion to that?
I move that we approve it subject to approval, review and approval by the DEP planning module exemption.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You can stay.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Nice to meet you, thanks. And Michelle, just for purposes of clarification, they're making this recommendation to council, and then council will have to approve it officially
Which they meet
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, awesome.
You don't-
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have to come.
Thank you.
What if I want to come see you?
Well, then you can start.
Tuesdays?
I said you didn't have to, I didn't say you weren't allowed.
I don't have anything better to do on a Tuesday.
So the storefront is gonna be at the back towards the
Yeah.
Bell Tower?
So now council.
So that's the test.
And
You have
on.
nothing better to do.
Same conditional
See you
requirements.
then.
We've already reviewed the planning module, and actually, I think it just didn't get to Michelle yet, the signing, so everything's fine. She has to sign it when it goes deep, so.
So we expecting that to be in before the council meeting so that this will be moved?
We won't have the acknowledgement back from DEP by council meeting, but it'll be into
Yeah, so it
DEP.
would be subject to DEP approval of the exemption request.
Right, by the time it gets to council, right.
So it's off our table, off council's table, that shows.
Yep.
Okay. Number 4, planning consistency letter.
So the borough has applied for, yeah, $500,000, through the Act 13 state funding program to reline a portion of the, stormwater collection pipe in the Brandywine Lincoln area of the borough. As part of that grant application, the Borough Planning Commission as well as the County Planning Commission need to provide letters of support. So the draft letter that is up on the screen, is a letter that Ron, as chair of the planning commission, would sign once, and assuming the planning commission makes a recommendation for council to approve next week, to have this letter included as part of our grant application.
Okay, so A and B, review and discuss planning consistency letters submitted as part of the application. Grant request, motion C to table, deny or approve, recommendation of council to approve, execute submission of planning consistency letter from the Act 13 grant application. Are there any issues we need to discuss about this that we should be waiting on for council?
This is the second time we're applying for this grant. We applied for it last year and did not receive funding, so we're just gonna keep plugging away until they give us money.
And this is part of that borough-wide storm sewer study that was done of the problem areas, I believe it was in 2019 or 2018, over that time period, and identified that as one of the areas that older metal pipe needs to be relined before it deteriorates, so. Even though it's $1 million relining to do the whole thing, we're supposed to do half of it now, but it's like a $5 million replacement project if we let it just deteriorate in place and have to replace it.
Is this a matching grant?
150,000, so, I mean, that's part of the approved budget for this
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So, let's try number 3, see if that works. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation to submit to council the execution submission plan petition letter for the Act 13 grant application?
So,
For a second,
I'll second that.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Planning consistency letter to Berkshire House Playground. Back to the playground.
Also, another grant application that was submitted at the end of May for the Berkshire Heights playground equipment replacement and also ADA improvements to the site to allow for ADA parking and access to that equipment. Same thing, we've previously applied for this grant, we received partial funding that then was transferred to another project. So we're back to ask for funding. This also has a match of about, I think it's 30,000 give or take.
So, approval stage again. Are there any issues regarding the, I've heard a lot of questions about, is the playground open, and is this related to that, or is everything?
So the playground has been open. What was done to reopen it were temporary fixes to the tune of about $7,000. This is a complete removal and replacement of all of that equipment.
And that'll take place for next year?
We'll find out in the fall if we've received this grant funding, so yes, the project would likely happen in 2023.
Michelle, of all the playgrounds, does this have the oldest equipment?
At this point, yes.
So if we don't get the grant, we'll be back discussing another $7,000?
If we don't get the grant, I think we would discuss reapplying for grant funding and or budgeting for replacement.
Next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we need a motion to approve the recommendation of council to approve the execution and submission of the consistency letter for the grant application. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
A motion, please
Second.
A second. Do you have any discussions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we're in tough stuff, old business. Any old business? Last chance, going once, twice. New business? Going once, twice. Motion adjourned.
To make that motion.
No, there's nothing added to the agenda.
You okay there, Doug?
Thanks,
Motion.
Brandon.
Second.
We adjourned.
Thank you.
We beat the record.
I'm sorry?
We
We're-
beat the record.
You're certainly in line.
In the running for that,
In the running
yes.
for that. It's good for my battery.
Yes.